everyone, I'm Jen.
Hey there, Renee here.
And this is Marriage Plus Business. We thought it would be fun to share some helpful information. So, do you have anything that you want to share that would help anybody watching us, whether they're married or they're in business together or both?
Dance more.
Yeah, let's talk about that, shall we? So, at the beginning of COVID 19,
That's good.
and all of the different dance opportunities were halted because we couldn't get together because obviously no socializing in groups of 10 or more and shelter in place. So we really lost our desire to dance. We said it in a previous episode, didn't we? That we wanted to just shelve it.
Yep.
And then something happened and it made me want to dance more. And I'll embarrass myself and I'll just go ahead and share what this is. We were having a rare moment deciding to dance. Like, I guess we heard some music and it was like, oh, let's dance. And so we just had this moment where it was like, let's do this. So we go in the garage and we're having this really fabulous dance. And then I fall. I fall hard. And I realized that 2 months of not dancing has made my body get out of shape. And it was not a difficult move. It was something where I would go underneath Renee's arm and I would do a squat as I'm on a pass. It's a relatively trendy move.
Yeah.
And it's not that hard, but my quads did not agree with the ability to sustain me. So I ended up flat on my back and I decided, all right, that's it. I need to get into shape. We need to dance more and I need to stretch every day. So that's kind of what got me back on the dance floor, is getting my ass handed to me by the floor.
Or the floor came up and hit you, something like that.
Right.
Maybe you didn't hit the floor hit you.
But then tell them what we've been doing and like what's transpired since then.
We've just been dancing more. It started with that first night that Jen mentioned, but we kind of did it. We filmed a couple of them just because I think we always like to kind of see how we're doing, and one of the best ways you can actually do that is taking video of yourself and just kind of watching how you move. And I think that pertains more to if you are in particular somewhat more into competing or just wanting to see your own self evaluation or improvement. So we just started filming more and just kind of was able to just see what we're doing because it's fun too. And then we put one of them on and I put another one online, and these are all on Facebook. And then we just, we would go back and say, hey, let's do some more dancing, another night. And then we did it and then filmed some more. So we've put a few online, and it's just been a way to
have some fun.
Yeah, mostly have fun, mostly just get something out there that is different than what we're doing during the day, which is just sitting and working. So we can just, look forward to it. And we don't do it every night. Some nights we say we're going to do it, but then we don't. But there'll be more that we do, I'm sure. And then lately what I've been doing is just taking a little bit of some creative license to somehow do something different with each video, whether it's putting a title in there or putting like a little gag throughout, like in one of these last videos I did. But and I'll put links on the page here so that you can see it, or you can click and watch some of those videos.
But they've been a hit.
They've been fun to do. They've been fun for people to watch. They've been mostly, I think, entertaining and a way for like our friends on Facebook, because I think those are the people who are mostly watching. It's just our friends on Facebook, people that who know us and that we dance with. So it's been fun to just kind of share what we do. One person said that it put a smile on their face. So.
And another person said that she looks forward to seeing these videos daily. So we're not doing it to make any money off of it. We're just doing it for fun. And it's really quite refreshing. And Renee can be rather funny and silly, which is even cooler because,
Yeah, I try to do something for
hilarious.
The videos to give it some kind of like little twist or something different.
Yeah.
So plus it keeps me occupied. with taking the video because I have to edit it anyway. And since I'm sitting there, I just think of ways to just make it so I can work on my video editing skills. I'll just say that much.
Exactly. We're taking something fun and we're learning and stretching and growing from that experience. And so who knows what it will turn into? And we don't have any particular expectations that it's going to turn into anything. But we are sharpening our skills. And not necessarily on the dance floor, but on the video production aspect and the other aspect. I mean, I don't know if I'm sharpening my dance skills. They're probably stagnant. But hey, I'm just glad I'm not falling anymore. And it is nice to receive some nice compliments from the people that we take private lessons from, the dance pros that we truly admire.
Yeah, that's been nice too. So it's been a good thing to, like I said, from different aspects, just, put it up, have fun, share with our people, our friends, and just, keep on doing it until we don't do it. So
exactly.
That's all there is to it. We just said we'll do it one day, and we just did it.
Yeah.
And then here we are, and we'll see where we go from there.
But it kind of leads me to something that I think would be a good topic to share. And the theme I wanted to talk about is stretching. And we can talk about like physically stretching our muscles, right? Because I needed to stretch after, falling. And then I did some squats yesterday and I'm really sore. So I could use some stretching right now. But then I'm also talking about how do you stretch yourself professionally? How do you stretch yourself skills-wise? Because I find that because we're having fun with this, we're stretching and it's not an intimidation thing. But then there are other times where we're asked to stretch to get out of our comfort zone, and it's intimidating as hell. So, for example, I have a very amazing and rare opportunity to do social media marketing for a coach that I absolutely adore, respect, and am humbled by. Like, this is like a huge guru mentor of mine. And I just before we started this, I put together a proposal to work with this individual and her organization. And if it comes to fruition, fantastic. And if it doesn't, that's okay. But when I asked, what is your dream list? What is your scope of work? What would you like to see? I gotta say, it pushes me out of my normal wheelhouse of what I do. It stretches me out of my comfort zone. So I realized that I have two choices. One, I could say, you know what? This is outside of my comfort zone. I'm going to say, thank you very much, no. And I'm just going to stay in my lane. Or the second decision is, okay, I have this opportunity. Say yes and figure it out and grow from the experience. And I am choosing to stretch and grow beyond my normal comfort zone. Because like in a lot of things, I have grown exponentially when I step outside of that comfort zone and say yes, even when I am intimidated by it or, just feeling a little overwhelmed. But it doesn't mean I can't do it. It just means that I'll grow into it. Because I was reflecting recently, I think it was the other night, we were going to bed, but I had one of those nights where I was laying awake and I couldn't really sleep. But I was thinking about how much I have stretched and grown from 2018 to 2020. And how I've done that is 2018 was when I was trying to learn how to do ClickFunnels and that whole funnel process of selling something online and going through that whole process of putting people in buckets and determining how you want to interact with them and connecting all the dots between starting the funnel and ending the funnel with a sale. So I also learned how to put together and record and edit and do online courses. So I have done a lot of personal development and growth, which has helped me professionally, because here we are in 2020 and now we're asked to pivot on a dime in our businesses and be successful, stretching beyond our comfort zones. And I've already got a lot of experience under my belt to where I said, okay, I'm going to create an online summit that is going to benefit my tribe, and it's going to have some great speakers, and it's going to be interactive, and it's going to be a lot of really good stuff that will help these businesses thrive and mastering and crisis proofing their business. So it's intimidating, and it's a huge scale of work that, I don't know all the steps, but I'm stretching, and it's going to become a success. If anything, just because I'm growing, and when I try it again and stretch beyond my comfort zone again, it will be a constant growth. And I know it will come to fruition. I'm going to look back in another 10 years going, dang, look at all the stuff that I did, because I wasn't afraid.
Yeah.
Or I was afraid, but I stretched and I got past it. How do you stretch?
I think I don't even think about it, because like you're saying, you always look back, and for me it's the same thing, because I always look at like my art as a gauge, and I remember doing something as recent as a year ago, and then looking at something I did today and thought, wow, this is like, it's almost like a whole new level from what I did a year ago. So that just kind of primes me for thinking like, oh, okay, so like in another year, just be prepared to like look at what you just did today as like, wow, that really wasn't as good as I thought it was. So as long as you're progressing, right? As long as you're making progress and you're able to see that, then I think that's a good thing. Specifically how I stretch, I think what I do is and this is like because I'm more creative in the things that I do with my, doing art and visual. Like I always have like so much output, or I should say stimulus from the outside. And there's always like, the moment I do something, it's not uncommon for me, like literally minutes later, to go online and see something else and think, wow, I could have added this to that graphic, or I could have done this to this painting, or I could have done something with my dance. But when it comes to stretching, I try not to focus, honestly, I try not to focus on the here and now in terms of like trying to grow then and there, because it's always a point where it's like I'm trying to just get the job done. And I think by just trying to get the job done and pushing through that, getting done and getting something to where you can say, I finished this, I completed it, that is a form of stretching. Every time you seek to complete and finish something, that gives you the confidence, or you're comforted in that, the fact that you started something and you finished it, to know that that is a form of like progress. And for me, anytime you're progressing, guess what? You're I don't know if you want to call that stretching, or if you're constantly moving. So I think as long as you're completing things, that gives you more encouragement to complete more things. And the more things we complete, I think that just adds to what we're doing. And so that to me is a way of being able to stretch in a way. So I guess the advice is to, finish whatever you start, even when you don't feel like finishing it.
Yeah.
So it's tough, but like just forcing yourself to complete something and finishing it, even when you don't want to, obviously is a pretty good, metric for stretching.
Yeah.
So stretching doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be comfortable either. So that's part of when I hear stretch,
uncomfort,
there's something that is not, it's going beyond, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of the theme. So I look at it as just completing and finishing what you've started, even if it's not, perfect. There's always be a time to get it better the next time.
It's kind of cool that you shared that story of how you look at something that you've done and you've seen your progress. I actually have a story I want to share with them about the mermaid painting that you did for me that ended up being on my album cover, and you qualified for a Grammy nomination because of his artwork. So, yay. So what that is like okay, so here's the deal. So we started dating, and he wanted to give me a Christmas gift. And one of the beautiful things about Renee is usually on Christmas or birthdays or a special occasion, he'll paint me something, and it's absolutely lovely. And so this particular thing was the mermaid, but she wasn't finished. And so you showed it to me, and it was like, okay, here you go. But yet I wasn't able to frame it. And then it took you about a year to allow me to get it framed and all that stuff. And I was kind of perplexed because, Renee had multiple things that he was working on, but like he had plenty of time to finish this thing. And I was like, well, what's taken you so long? And what was so cool is that because of his love for me and because of you wanting to make it perfect, he was stymied by the fact that he wanted it to be perfect. And so he was afraid that until he had that moment, at least you told me this. I don't know if you remember this.
I don't.
You
actually.
don't?
No.
But you really wanted it to just be perfect, and that's why it took you a while. Yeah, and especially, like, it's so cool because that was 2008.
Mm-hmm. Wow, okay. So, yeah, that was a while.
So that was 12 years ago. And it's funny because you guys can't see it, but I'm staring at it. It's on the other wall, and it's right by my desk, and I just absolutely love it. You know what? I may not look that great in real life, but when he draws me, I am hot. And so I really love my mermaid painting. And I got this gorgeous red tail. I mean, it's amazing. But anyway, the point is that it's cool. I'm like, just you sharing that story about how you've seen your progress. It's like, oh, wow, you really have come a long way. Even in the 13 years we've been together, 12 years since you did that painting. And I remember also too in our earlier times together, you were doing a lot of illustrations, and it would take you months to finish one piece because you were getting really into the background, like super, super technical. Like not only did he illustrate the characters, but like every tree had every leaf completely like drawn out. It wasn't like a tree. It was like one leaf, two leaf. I mean, like the technical expertise that you executed in your detail work.
Mm-hmm.
But then how has that changed for you?
You mean as far as like my art?
Mm-hmm.
It's always changing in the sense that, like, again, there's different styles that you look at, and so your influence, and there's like a time when, and I'll try to relate it to anyone who's watching it, whether you're into a particular activity, be it a sport or a hobby. There's so many different like layers or levels to how you can approach or do something. And so when it comes to that level of detail with a specific craft, you find yourself maybe working with one mindset, and then it changes later, and you work in a different mindset, or you're influenced by something or somebody, and so you have a different style.
Evolves.
And it changes. So that affects also like the maybe the amount of work you put out or the rate at which you put it out. So I think it changes only in so much as that, like, as you progress and you do something more, you acquire a certain skill and a familiarity with it, and so you get better at it basically. And so you become more accomplished, whatever that, however you define accomplished as. But for me, so much of that changes depending on like what medium I'm working in, let's say, for art. So the biggest thing that's changed was when I started working digitally. So yeah, no more oil paints, no more watercolors, no
waiting
more
for
inks,
things to dry.
Waiting for things to dry,
Cleaning brushes.
It's just my iPad, Apple Pencil, and Photoshop on my desktop. So it's now giving me more time to just really focus on what it is I want to do, instead of like having to manage all these materials. Which, there's nothing wrong with those materials, and I probably at some point might go back and do something original again, like on a traditional piece of art.
Right.
So, but that's just a specific example of how when it comes to like getting into your craft or into your hobby or into your skill, how things can change. Just like, let's say you're dancing, like we're dancers. You know, obviously there's dancers that we follow and see and emulate. And so when you're dancing like one particular dancer, you're like, oh, okay, this is how he or she does this, so I'm gonna like try and do it like
I'm
her.
channeling that person
Yeah.
today.
So things, you know, things eventually become, I think, a blend of everything you've, you know, observed and utilized and learned from and discarded, to eventually to where you get to a point to where it's just like, there's your style. So it's almost like you can't even try to create your own style yet until you've gone through so many different phases, right?
Good point.
So like progress is like one of those things that's like, progress is, I guess, defined, I guess that's, I heard Tim Robbins, or I saw Tim Robbins talk about this somehow, like what makes life valuable or what gives life meaning in its progress. I think is, and I might be saying that incorrectly, but I think he said that once. And yeah, it's like progress, right? It's like if I can see something worked on, completed, you know, move on to something else, worked on, completed, you know, and then, you know, with all that comes like what kind of results are you trying to get, of course, you know, but the fact that again that we're completing things and doing things and able to deliver, you know, that's pretty satisfying, I would say. Yeah. So complete your projects and dance more.
Yeah, there you go. And stretch. Stretch your body, right? Stretch your mind. Stretch your knowledge. And then that should benefit you. And if you make it a daily practice to do that, stretching your body, stretching your mind, stretching your knowledge, stretching your skills. If you make that a daily habit, just like brushing your hair and brushing your teeth, and it really will amaze you someday when you look back and you go, wow. So there you go. I hope that's helpful. Yeah.
I think that was good.
All right, everybody. Thank you so very much for hanging out with us tonight, and we look forward to seeing you next time. All right. Love you all. Bye.